Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Me and Harley are going to try and be as entertaining as Matt Hancock trying to appear normal on I'm a Celeb, but we're not sure we're going to be able to do it. But we will try nonetheless. Harley, let's start with your life update. How's university going?
University's good. I've learned a lot. Obviously sports journalism. Yeah, I've learned a lot on the course, but more so just about life, really, about myself, about how much frozen food variety you can buy. That's something that's really surprised me because frozen food is just essential to me living, and I've learned how to use the washing machines, which is another big step in my life. So
How
things
old,
like that. Yeah,
how old are you
I'm
again?
22. Yeah,
Okay. All right.
yeah.
That's not
Mm.
too bad.
Yeah. I've always been defeated by the washing machine. I've
Is it
never
the
put
on is
because
the on button or the
it's all the different buttons. So the good thing is where I live, they're actually really simple. But the ones I've always had at home, they're like spaceships. And I think that's what gave me the fear of washing machines.
I don't really know where to go from there, to be honest. Um, I think we'll just get
Should we
straight.
just get into it?
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
just get into it.
Yeah, yeah.
We so Harley's a little bit tired today. Obviously, university life means that, well, as you can all imagine, Harley's probably quite tired because it's late nights, uh,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit of alcohol consumed. So, and I quote, Harley's left the admin to me, this one. So I wanted to touch on something that we actually spoke about in the last episode, where we said that Walsall might have to consider doing an October seat, like October month, almost like month ticket. And yet again, we were ahead of the curve because Walsall were the team that picked up the most number of points in League Two during October.
Why are we so good in October? I don't understand it. I mean, do you know, Rob? Have you got any inklings as to why we're so good in specifically the month of October?
I, d- I don't know. It's weird. It is weird. Unbeaten last year, highest points return this year. Like, what? I don't know. I don't know. But it it kind of says something about how far we'd slipped, that we picked up 14 points last month, I believe it was, and we're still only 12th. So that kind of puts it back into perspective. But I think almost the month can be sort of split in two. And I think the Sutton United, I'm kind of counting the weekend's game against Wickham within that. I know it's obviously November, but the game against Sutton almost felt like a potentially pivotal moment of the season. Now, and I say that because of the Conley red card. And my theory on that is, or what I think a lot of fans would agree with, is that that forced Flynn to not play Kinsella and Comey together. And for me, that has been the biggest shift the last few games.
So, do you think that Flynn has been forced into going more attacking and has stumbled onto something that actually really works? Is that what you're saying?
Ish, because Wickham, he played with both Kinsella and Comey, but it worked. And
Do you think it's that?
yeah, go on.
Do you think it's that, or do you think it's confidence? Do you think that the team has a lot more confidence, and the fact that a fully confident team can have Comley and Kinsella in it and work?
I think that players such as Knowles, Maddox, Hutchinson, we'll get on to Liam Gordon, um, are all confident, like you said, and all of those players named, including Gordon, have a big part in us going forward. And I think the the kind of the force of having Hutchinson and Maddox playing in central midfield together with Kinsella just behind. Both those players built their confidence up, and like you said, I think it is confidence more than anything. But I think we finally got a few different attacking outlets.
So I think what's happened is the players have finally realised that if you make forward runs, things will happen. Because that's what we weren't doing. During that spell where we didn't win for 12, every single game, nobody apart from Tom Knowles and Johnson and maybe like Danny Cashman were making forward runs. Now we've got Hutchinson, Kinsella, Maddox, Gordon, Bennett, all bombing on as well.
You just wanted to say
things are actually things are actually happening. So they finally figured out that's how football works. If you go forward up the pitch, you get those chances to score.
And if you play through the thirds rather than lumping it forward.
Bang on, bang on.
It's yeah, I mean, I do think that almost having to almost being forced into playing that has helped. And I don't mind that it almost was forced upon Flynn because it's working and he's stuck with it. It'd be interesting to see how he goes against Carlisle, your local derby.
Well, this is it. So one of my friends on my course, he's a Carlisle fan, and there's been some words exchanged, especially since we drew them in the FA Cup.
Were you watching the draw together?
We weren't watching the draw together, but we were in the group chat, and there's a lot of excitement for these two games. You know, it's a bitter rivalry. You know, we might not even be friends after it. Yeah.
Well, not when we've taken 3 points and knocked them out the cup.
Well, this is it. You know, football's a cruel sport. You know,
it kind of. I don't want to use any of the P words here, but after, and I'm going to. These are my hands held firmly up. When I had my social media rant a couple of months ago about the season being over, if we can continue this type of form, then that might have been Rob being moody prematurely.
Just have to repeat that for me, Rob. I missed the first bit of that.
Oh.
So the key bit that I missed. So all I got there was Rob being moody, and I want to know what's going to make Rob moody.
I was holding my hands up and saying that when I got moody on Twitter and said about the season being over, and got very annoyed at Walsall, that may have been a bit premature because something seems to have been stumbled upon. And
so what you're saying is you'd like to make a public apology because you were wrong.
No.
Is that what it is, Rob?
No, it was just based on the evidence at the time. I made an informed comment that, you know, life has these little foibles to it. And on the flip side, I would then like to counter it out by saying that I'd backed Hutchinson from the start and now he's firing. So,
well, yeah, we're both, both studying and study sports journalism. And one thing we can absolutely say is football makes hypocrites of us all, doesn't it, Rob?
Yeah. Yes, it does. Yeah. Hopefully November's not an awful month and season is over. But considering that we went on a 12-game winless run, we now find ourselves only 5 points off the playoffs, which, yes, 5 points is still quite a jump. But when you consider that Carlisle are the team that are 5 points ahead of us in 7th place, kind of puts a bit of weight on the game at the weekend. But I think before we get on to kind of the next game, what have you made of the players? What who have you kind of been impressed with? Who are you? Yeah, just what are your general thoughts on everything?
I think it's been an incredible turnaround, and I think it really is a testament to the league that League Two is. And I don't know whether that's a compliment or otherwise,
I think
because it
you you were trying to make it sound like a compliment, but what you're saying is that there's not a real amount of quality in the league.
what I'm saying is it's a bizarre league where just anything and everything happens. There's no rhyme or rhythm to League Two.
No.
It's just sometimes you're good, sometimes you're not good, and there's not really a reason for it. But we've somehow managed to go from being the worst team in the league to now one of the best teams in the league in terms of form. And I think it's down to confidence. And I think it's just a few players stepping up. I mean, the wing backs, Gordon and Bennett, have been fantastic. And I think the encouragement they're getting to go forward and make those diagonal runs and go beyond, even their attacking players to get balls in the box is superb. You look at the likes of Hutchinson and Maddox. Now they're full of confidence. They're actually good players. And that's the kind of key difference is we all knew that the players in this squad were good players. Particularly, most, and I don't feel that's unfair to say because a lot of the teams in League Two are, but now they're actually playing. Everybody can see it now, and we can see what those players on paper they're actually starting to perform what we thought they would.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that. For me, there's been two key players that have imp- improved things, and I think it's probably two players that, obviously going back a month, neither of us had mentioned. The first, obviously, because he's back from injury, is Liam Gordon. I think he's a fantastic player, and I think he could be one of one of the best left wing backs in this league.
Yeah,
He's awesome. And the fact that he probably isn't even 100% fully fit. Obviously, he's I think Wickham he played the whole 90, but before that he'd been coming off um, early in games. I think
Most of the games he come off for Taylor Allen, hadn't
yeah.
they?
Whereas he played all of the game against Wickham, and sorry, I'm just having a look now to see what he did against Rochdale. Yeah, he came off against Rochdale, but I think he's been a big addition. And the other one is Maddox. I think when we saw glimpses of him, was it September when he kind of played a couple of games, and
yeah,
I think he showed that he can be a really good technical player, but was nowhere near match fit. And I think we're now seeing that he can have a real impact on this team. And for me, they're the two that have kind of helped change fortunes around a bit.
I mean, if I could be as bold as to put another person in there, I think someone who has flown under the radar,
Ooh.
someone that I've backed since he joined us, because I've always thought he was excellent. Tom Knowles, I think he's superb.
Yeah.
And he's been playing brilliantly. And I think he's been good the entire time he's been with us. He's just been a little bit selfish at times, but he's getting better game by game. And now everyone else is starting to see it. I'm very proud to say that I backed him.
Just
it's just a little flex for me.
Just like another player that one of us backed. And on Hutchinson.
Here we go.
He did
this old chestnut.
Oh, don't get me started. I've been banging on that Rico Henry should be in the England squad for and as soon as Chilwell got injured, everyone at work was like, "Oh, you're going to say Rico Henry." the BBC did a poll today of like there was a load of left backs, and only 4% of people said Rico Henry should go to the World Cup. And I think I was probably 4%. um, but I think Knowles, and I'll count Hutchison in this, are they're consistent now, and I think
Yeah,
that's the general theme of the team, is that there is a level of consistency now in players that it's just really nice to see. I'm not even going to try and like butter it up. It's just nice to have that kind of, you know what you're getting from players. And I genuinely think if you could get 7 out of 10s from everyone in this team, we'll be continuing this form.
100%. And do you know what? As well as being a really consistent team, because when have we ever had that? It's been a while. It's a very likable team as well. It's a very likable team. There's a lot of
Yeah.
characters in there. There are a lot of players that you really want to like.
Yeah.
You really want them to do well. And I think that's massive. Like we've brought in some good characters, and I think that is down to Flynn in massive part. I think he's brought in the right people, the right type of people.
Yeah. And I think Flynn himself, like, he's
Absolutely.
just so likable. And yeah, I'm calling these next two questions.
Mm.
Is it the end of the world if? Okay.
Right. Okay.
So, is it the end of the world? And there's a I've got a point that I'll then put forward. If we
Mhm.
if we don't sign Danny Johnson in January,
Is it the end of the world if we don't sign Danny Johnson in January? It is if we don't get someone else in of equal quality. If we don't, then that's horrific and that could cost us the season. If we do, I think that if we can get someone who can consistently score, maybe not to the extent that Johnson's been scoring, but still bad goals, I think we've got enough goals in the rest of the team to be all right. Oh
I have
God,
two
here we go.
words: Connor Wilkinson.
Do you know what? Yeah, I could back that because I completely forgot about Connor Wilkinson, but it just depends how quickly he's going to get match fit because
Well, this is
when's he
the
going to
thing.
return? When's he going to return? Is it he might be for the new year, and then it's going to be another month or so before he can like
Now
properly like play the 90s.
I've heard on the word on the grapevine is at um, the Ryan Harvey Memorial
Okay.
when they were at the stadium.
Mhm.
Wilkinson was there, and apparently he told a few of the fans that it will be around mid-November that he is back. Now, that means that hopefully in the next couple of weeks, he may make a cheeky little appearance on the bench. For me, I obviously, the plan A is Johnson stays, we buy him,
Mhm.
because I think we buy him, 2.5 year deal. Johnson's going to score goals in those 2.5 years. It's the fact of the matter.
Yeah.
But if I don't think it's a absolute end of the world if we lose Johnson, because I think by the time Johnson goes, Wilkinson will be, if not fully fit, close, or at least on the
Yeah.
way to being fully fit. But then again, this is a lot of hearsay, and the thing with ACLs is you don't know how long there
Yeah.
are going to be little setbacks. So the mid-November comment might have been him being hopeful. Who knows?
Mm. I mean, just to kind of sprinkle some salt on that. So the first game of the season, my friend and his dad were invited up to the box because we also have this scheme for like doing work in the community, and they were told that Connor Wilkinson would be 6 to 8 weeks, and that was the first game of the season. So the grapevine, just so everybody knows, absolutely reliable. So
Well,
don't get your hopes up too much.
thanks for thanks for I'm going to swear here, guys. Thanks for shitting all over that idea.
Well, I just like to bring some yin to your yang, is what it is.
Yeah, but not when it's about Connor Wilkinson being fit. All right. Um. Now my next, it's not the end of the world if
Mhm.
Liam Bennett is recalled in January.
I might cry.
I I would be very upset.
Because I
What?
think
Go on.
I think we've all committed a cardinal sin, haven't we?
Oh, we've all fallen for him.
We've all fallen in love
Absolutely.
with
Like
Liam Bennett, haven't we? Because
he.
I think he's top three, like right wing back in the league.
Oh yeah,
Personally,
yeah.
100%. I think he might even be like the best. Don't know. I haven't seen a better one yet.
I
Yeah, but
it him not being in the squad on Saturday and then
was
watching Jason
concerning.
McCarthy play was like the harshest reminder of not falling in love with a loney.
I
Because
mean,
Wickham
this is
weren't
this, yeah.
great, but he was just his usual self. And yeah, it was like, oh, remember when I played at right wing back and was for you? Well, now my point, and I think actually losing Bennett would be a bigger loss because I do feel that Wilkinson is closer in his recovery
Yeah.
than Joe Riley would be.
See, and it's interesting that I see because I'm obviously friends with a Carlisle fan. I've got the lowdown on Joe Riley, and
Oh
he
yeah,
kind of said to me that although he can kind of play a fullback, really his best position is centre mid. So I don't think he's the replacement for Bennett
interesting,
in the way that we think he is, and
interesting.
I think that's a problem because I was going to make the exact same point as you. I think it's big losing Bennett is bigger than losing Johnson because I don't think we have someone who can step into those shoes and do a job to the same level because we've got enough players and then we've got Wilkinson as well to cover for the goals that Johnson is going to score, I think. But what Bennett provides, I don't think we've got anybody who can do that. And
No,
I
I
think it's
mean,
going to be very difficult to get anyone in.
Knowles ended up playing at right wing back for parts of the game against Wickham, and I was like, he actually did quite well. But for a long term solution, someone who's that's the role, that's very interesting because my thought has always been that that's where Riley would kind of step into.
Because for Carlisle, he mainly played in the centre mid. And the way he's been described to me is a little bit like a Kinsella. And that's where Flynn would want to utilize him. That's where we get the best out of him because he's really, really good. And he was Carlisle's probably their best player, or one of at least last season. And would Flynn want to utilize him at wing back? I don't know personally. And I think Flynn would be more inclined to go and get someone off the loan market,
Yeah, because
which
it's
they're
interesting
not
though.
going to be as good as Bennett, are they? That's the issue. Because we've got a
No.
League One left. We've got a League One right wing back playing in League Two essentially.
My concern there is if the kind of midfield three is what I would go with at the moment with Kinsella Holding and then Maddox and Hutchinson,
Mm.
where does Riley fit into that?
I think he's gonna have to fight for his place. But the question is when's he gonna fit into it?
Well, yeah, that is a yeah.
Because he just seems to keep doing the same thing over and over again. He just seems to be tweaking that same muscle and
Well, it's did you see the thing about what he needs to do with the knee?
I haven't seen it now.
Ah, right. So they actually found that he'd got floating. Um, I don't know how this happens, but floating bone in his knee that's had to
Oh,
be removed. So obviously,
yeah,
we had to have probably, I'm guessing keyhole because it wasn't a big
yeah,
piece of bone.
yeah.
So he isn't back soon because there's no way they're gonna rush him back. Um, but that I can't remember how long ago that was. But I did see that as a. It sounds horrendous as well, like floating bone in
Mm,
the knee.
yeah. Just one more thing while we're talking about players coming back.
Oh yeah,
How do you feel about Sam Perry returning? What are your thoughts on that?
the same as really what my thought is with if Riley's playing at centre mid. I don't see where he gets in at the moment because for me, we need to keep that kind of attacking threat. And I
Yeah.
think Hutchinson and Maddox have been playing well together with Kinsella slightly behind them. That you can't disrupt that for me. So I think, don't get me wrong, he's an option off the bench, especially with the fact that Earing and Labadie obviously are injured. Um, and looking at the bench the last like couple of games against Rochdale, the centre mid options were Mayer and Comley, and then against Wickham, we actually didn't even fill the bench. Um, we because I think you're allowed more in the cup. Uh, yeah, so Wickham had 9 subs on the bench. We had 7, and the only central midfielder that was well, I suppose Mayer is, but he's more of an attacking one. But Taylor Allen actually came in and played at centre mid. So I
Mm.
feel that with sorry, but I feel actually Perry coming back does give us that bit of an option off the bench that maybe central midfield we need.
Do you think though that he would get utilised? Because from my understanding of it, it sounds like he was sent back, not recalled. And a lot of the Yeovil fans are kind of throwing those kind of terms around. He was a bit lightweight. He was a bit like not what they expected. He didn't, and I think he struggled in that division. Maybe I think a lot of them were expecting him to be more like a 10 than what he really is. But I'm not sure Flynn's that keen on him. Do you think
Yeah,
it
I
could
mean,
potentially be the beginning of the end for Perry? Because by now he should have cemented a place.
I agree. I hadn't actually seen what Yeovil fans have been saying, so that's quite interesting to hear. I think at the moment, given that the fact that we have limited central midfield options, kind of feel he's got a place until Earing, Riley, and Labadie come back.
Yeah.
So I think maybe for a little bit he might be able to work his way into the team, not team bench, but purely because there's no other options.
He's a little bit on death row, I think.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
definitely fallen into the Corey Roberts
Yeah.
from a couple of
The
years
Corey
ago.
Roberts conundrum.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
It's got a lovely ring to it.
yes. Yeah, it does. Um, yeah, there's been a few players like that that have just not quite like made the cut, and I'd love him to because I felt in times where it's been a bit not as thriving Walsall, he did actually offer a good, almost shining light that we've got this good academy product. But we'll see. We'll see. I think, yeah, I think he's not on death row at the moment. I think he's being transferred to death row.
Yeah, yeah. I think he's awaiting trial at the moment to see
Yeah.
whether he's going to, stay on death row or not.
But my question to you here is, who who are the if you play Kinsella and Comley because you want to be slightly more defensive, who's your other central midfield option?
What do you mean, like who's coming off the bench?
Yeah, because
Um,
he played he played Comley, Kinsella, Hutchinson, and
mm,
Maddox all together, and it worked.
mm. See, I like Taylor Allen. See, I'd probably utilize him.
But then
I
he's
think
also
I'm
going
in
to
the
be,
minority because everyone seems to hate Taylor Allen, which I find
but then
very strange. I think he's quite good.
he's also going to have to potentially come and play at left wing back.
Yeah,
So for me, you need another option at central midfield, and that's where
yeah, yeah.
Harry.
That's a kind of a hole he can fill. So there is that to it, absolutely. Like it's a very good point you make there, Rob. It's a
I'm
very good
wondering
point.
whether I don't know what the rules are regarding whether he can play.
I'm
Like,
sure he can.
I'm sure it's
See why
probably
not?
just EFL rules that because of the when obviously it's not a secret that Walsall were last minute missed out on Harry Smith,
Mm.
and he's now returned to Leighton Orient, but he can't play until January. But I don't know whether because it's from the National League that will be the same for Perry.
That sounds like some homework for you, Rob.
Oh no, no. Well, someone on Twitter will figure it out. If you figured it out, let us know.
Let's just drop it in the comments.
Yeah.
If you're that man, if you're that man and you've got that time or woman to figure that out, first of all, well done you, and just drop it in the comments.
Sam, if you're watching, just so we're going to move on to our questions. We've kind of got a couple of themes coming out of it. Firstly, Kincaid Fontaine sent us a lovely muscular photo of WWE's Michael Flynn, and mentioned about how important was Michael Flynn's WWE career in luring Travella. But then Lee Reynolds has mentioned about our, American owners and a cheeky preseason tour. But what I would like to kind of get from that is Travella have been doing some business with Nofo Brewing Company, who we definitely had to research the name of because we could not remember what it was called. And went through every no bo, no go. So yeah, it's Nofo Brew Co.
Nofo Brew Co.
And
There we go. Just everyone knows now.
yeah, which we will forget by the time I wake up in the morning. It kind of seems a good thing that, and I know it shouldn't really be a surprise, but Travella are starting to get these American companies interested in the club. Boycott's been over. Obviously, we don't know how long he's been over for or how long he intends on staying. But to get another company involved with Walsall, it's not a bad thing, is it, Harley?
No, not at all. And we are taking over the industry in America, really. I mean, we've got Robert Venditti, I think that's how I'm going to go with how you say it. He writes for DC Comics, and he's a part of No Bro.
No, he's
No,
part of No, I think he's just a fan.
no, he's part of the No Fo Bro
No, but
Co.
he likes the club from a long
Yeah, but
time before.
he's a part of that company as well.
Is he both?
I think so. Yeah, I
Ooh.
remember him putting it on Twitter. And then we've got the Green Bay Packers as well, and I can't remember what their connection is. There's a connection with them as well.
One of the my NFL knowledge is so bad, but one of their players, and we don't know what his name is. All right, we'll admit that. You can give us abuse for it, but it's just
Well, can I just say,
yeah.
as a Minnesota Vikings fan, Green Bay Packers are, the main rivals. So personally, I don't care what his name is.
Oh, I'm just incompetent.
Yeah.
So I believe that NFL player invests in Travella which means that by proxy has technically invested in Walsall.
Yeah. So there you go. We've got fingers in a lot of pies. It
Yeah.
seems. We're
American pies.
Balti pies.
He didn't get the American.
No, I got. I know it is a great joke, but yeah, I'll give you that one. But I just pies. I go to Balti pies.
Yeah, but yeah, it's looking bright. And this is something that the One Pod Beyond guys picked up on. Pomlet seems to have really stepped back and kind of out of the limelight. And I think he almost needs to just let Trevella do their thing now and almost be just that guidance, the kind of the boots on the ground when they're out of the UK.
Yeah.
But I can't complain about Trevella at the moment at all.
So are you feeling more comfortable with them being our owners now as opposed to when they took over?
Yes. There's obviously, it's very early days in terms of a tenure as an owner. But my kind of, there's all these whispers that come out about what they're trying to achieve at the Saddlers Club and what they're trying to do with the freehold. And then it kind of then goes, the whispers die down, but then an investor comes on board and then they're seen in the UK. Like there's definite things going on behind the scenes. And I'm actually quite relaxed about when we hear about these sorts of things.
Yeah.
I think personally, I mean, and feel free to disagree or completely like disregard the point, but I think when Pomlet came in, I really wanted quick change. Whereas I think with Trevella, because we can see that the feel is that they are slowly building towards something, I'm quite happy to just go on the ride.
No, I absolutely agree with that because I think when Pomlet took over, we were all so sick of Bonser that we wanted the exact opposite. And I think maybe we expected too much of him. And I don't mean that I don't think he failed in any respect. I just don't think that he had enough money to, put his vision into reality.
Or at
And
least with
that's not
the fact that he didn't have a full season.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, and then effectively the second year of his reign, he was working on the Trevella deal. So
yeah.
there weren't going to be masses of change. But no, I think I like that Pomlet's still involved at the club. And yeah, I'd love a pre-season tour of the States. That'd be awesome.
I mean, it depends where you go, though. I mean, if it's like the cold bits, like Minnesota, I'll probably give that a miss. Or if it's like Alabama or something, it's probably get shot. But no, if it was like LA, Florida, New York,
So
one
just
of the nice,
all the expensive places.
yeah, or even just somewhere quite nice. I mean, I don't know that much about the America and which bits are the nice bits, but I know which bits are the horrible bits, and so I know which bits to avoid. So as long as we can avoid the bits that are horrible, I'd love a pre-season tour.
Love it. Oh, can you imagine if it was in Nashville?
Oh,
that'd be so cool.
That would be amazing.
That'd be Ben Boycott. If you're watching this, pre-season tour of Nashville would be amazing.
Well, the only thing is that Trevella are based in Alabama, aren't they? And said Birmingham, Alabama, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So all of our American fans, I do apologize for I'm sure not all of you, shoot people. Just to put that out there. I'm sure some of you are nice. It's just a stereotype. I wouldn't like to upset our international fans.
Yeah, which obviously we have many of.
Exactly, yeah. Not all of them are gun-toting hillbillies. Just a few of them.
The next kind of couple of questions, I think we're not really going to touch on because we think they're going to be more important in maybe a couple of episodes' time. Lee Reynolds asked about, do we need to do that much business in January? I think at the moment we both kind of agree it would only be based off of the loans being recalled.
Yeah,
and then Wednesbury Road Sadler said, with a number of players out of contract at the end of the season, who stays? Again, that I think we'll probably look at that maybe around January just to see almost what the strength of the squad's looking like and if there's any players we'd like to try and move on in January. So we will come back to that.
Yeah, but, I think that's a great question for another day.
Yeah.
I think that's what we'll put that one down to.
But, Wednesbury Road Sadler, you did ask, can we play Wilkinson, Knowles, Johnson, Madison? Madison? I don't know where we're getting Madison from. Wilkinson, Knowles, Johnson, Maddox, Hutchinson in the same team. I don't think so, unless we are going gung-ho.
If we went for a kind of a last season Liverpool almost two at the back, then possibly. But I don't think, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, I don't think a two at the back would work in League Two.
The only way you can play that is in a 4-3-3, where Kinsella is holding mid, then play, obviously, I'm just completely forgetting who plays where.
You'd have Johnson striker, Wilkinson right wing, Knowles left wing, Maddox. You have to have Hutchinson and Maddox like one of them would have to sit a bit deeper as a centre mid. Like I don't think I'd want to, in all honesty.
It's attacking.
But I don't think it'd work. I mean, if we're like 2-0 down, why not?
I think if you do that, you lose the wing backs being wing backs. They have to play as a left and right back and have to fulfill that defensive role because, although saying that though, if Kinsella's disciplined at a holding mid, it could work, but who knows? I suppose if you need like a 5-0 win to get into the playoffs or whatever, then yeah, let's try it.
I wouldn't. Maybe I'm reading too much into this question, but is he purely asking could they feasibly fit into an 11, or is he asking is there room in the squad for all these players? You know, because that's a lot of kind of bright stars competing for the same positions essentially. Maybe that's a different conversation, but there is that kind of angle to it as well. Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's have that conversation. For me, I think the answer is still the same. I think Maddox and Hutchinson have been working well as a pair. I think there is obviously room for them. Knowles works hard. Johnson and Wilkinson spent a season playing together. 1 season, 2 seasons? I don't know.
1 season.
But they played,
season, wasn't it?
Yeah, they played together. So I think there's room for them in terms of individuals and in a starting 11.
But it would push out other people, but is that necessarily a bad thing? I mean, Andy Williams, this will be his last season. I'm pretty confident. I can't see him going for another. He's hit 700 appearances. He's struggling to get minutes in League Two. Cashman as well. I think he'd be another one to be pushed out. Abraham. So I think there is room in. I think there is room for them all in the same team. It's just whether like someone can settle for not starting, because they will have to have that conversation, and someone's going to have to be told you sit on the bench for now.
That's a really good position to be in.
Well, exactly, and it puts us in a strong position for, let's say, the summer. If we've got a lot of players who all want to be starting, and we know we've got a good team, that means recruitment will be easier.
Yeah. There is a link here. Would you send Cashman, this is to the final point of the this video. Would you send Danny Cashman back in January? Because
I
ultimately,
mean,
if you're sending him back to his parent club, he's going to be playing at Walsall anyway. Way Coventry joke. My ignore the Cashman bit. What are your thoughts on Coventry using Walsall?
I like the money. Yeah, I think that's the obvious answer. I don't like the fact that the Coventry fans are moaning about it because apparently we haven't got enough room for all their season ticket holders.
Well, at
If
least
that's
we've
the
got a stadium.
case, if that's the case, play somewhere else. You
Yeah,
don't have to play here. Stop moaning. If I give you somewhere to play, just shut up and just turn up here. If you have to miss out, at least your team's still in the league and playing. You could be a Phoenix club.
they played at bloody Northampton, and Northampton's like
Mm.
got a stand that
Right.
wasn't built at the time. So,
Mm.
um,
I don't think Coventry fans realise that no one has any sympathy for them.
no, and they
No.
don't have options. Northampton won't have them again. Birmingham aren't going to help them because they're in the same league. You're looking at
Mhm.
other Midlands clubs. Obviously, Villa aren't going to do it. Wolves aren't going to
No.
do it. West Brom are in the same league as them. You will literally have no other option in the
Mhm.
area. Um,
Mhm.
for the next biggest stadium you can go to is Walsall.
Yeah.
I I'll let fans moan. I think it's more to do with the. I think the frustration is obviously that it's another time that they're going to have to be playing away from the
Yeah.
Rico, or whatever it's actually called, but it's the Rico.
But
Um,
take it up with the people who own the club.
yeah,
Not yeah.
I think for
So
the short-term fix, it personally would be a really good idea. We don't have
mm,
that many home games.
no.
Um, the WSL will be going on a break as well,
Mhm.
meaning that Villa won't be playing. That is a bold comment to make without doing any research. Let's have a Google of that before I.
But do you know what? I absolutely bought
No, I'm
that.
pretty sure it. Pretty sure.
If you hadn't have said that was a bold statement, if you hadn't have like checked on that, I would have 100% believed you then.
I'm
Because
pretty
I'm not that
sure.
up to date on the WSL. So you'd completely sold me there. You should have just stuck with it, I think.
Yeah, they do. They go on a break from the 11th of December till the 14th of January.
Yeah. But no,
Um,
I agree with you. They can moan all they want,
but I
but
mean,
if
Villa
their money's good,
between now and the 14th of January, so they've got Sunday the 20th. This is Villa, sorry. Sunday the
mm,
20th, the 26th, the 11th of December, and then the 14th of January. It's not a hugely busy time for the pitch for
mm.
Bescott. And then trying to looking at in the spell when we actually are at home. Obviously, we're at
Well,
home
the,
the
the
day
thing as well
before.
is that the, yeah, the thing is that how true it is, absolutely no idea. But there's a lot of money being talked about how much they'd pay us, maybe 500K or something. That's essentially like our rent. Like,
Yeah,
so if we could get our rent for free, more or less, just letting them use the pitch, I'd be happy with that. Yeah, it
my
saves us some money.
I mean that would be awesome. My other thing would be um, they they would probably have to, or they would probably have 9,000 home fans to 2,000 away fans.
Mm,
I'd say that's roughly the split. That will
yeah,
sell out
yeah.
both ends. The amount of money that we could make as a club from um, like confectionery, soft drinks, beer, food, all of that would be brilliant in that spell.
I'd be tempted because I think we could basically, you know, give them whatever like stipulations we wanted and they'd go for it. I'd want them to loan us that Victor. I don't know how to say his name. Guy or something. The really good Coventry player who's like scored a load of goals. I'd want him on loan if Johnson leaves. I'd be like, you can play here, but I want him. I don't know what his name is. We'll research it so I
I
can
know who you're on
transfer him.
about, and I'm not even going to attempt to say it.
Um, Gyökeres,
We'll go with him.
maybe.
We'll go with that. But
Yeah, that's it. That's who I want. I want him on loan if Johnson leaves, and that's what I'd say to Coventry. I want 500k, and I want him for the rest of the season.
I mean, good luck with that. Um,
Well, do they want to play football? Do they want to play, you know, on a field somewhere? Yeah,
I
I'm a hard negotiator.
yeah,
Mm.
I do think it's rumored that it'd only be a short term thing anyway. But
Mm.
I do think there's a deal to be struck there.
Mm.
And if it, you know, covers half the rent and buys us Johnson in January, then you'd be mad not to take it.
Yeah, absolutely. It, that money would be crucial if it could get us Johnson or someone of equal quality, or even if it just pays for most of the rent.
Yeah,
It
well,
would we'd
whatever
be
the
stupid not
money,
to.
anything that doesn't have to go towards the rent, or you know, if it's puts there, if it's then put towards whatever, it's just money. It can go anywhere. Ultimately, it's
Exactly.
going to have an effect on the club as a whole, whether it's reuniting the freehold, if it's a bit of a cash injection there.
And there is another little element to it that we haven't discussed yet. Well, we've kind of touched on it. Obviously, Coventry fans aren't going to be very happy about this. They're all going to be crying. We can just be there with our straws, just slurping their tears, taking their money.
While they while
We'd
they
be loving it.
while
They're
they
suffering.
pay a load of they drown their sorrows pre-match, spend a load of money in the bar, money in no faux bro brew bros.
We'll get it right one of these days.
uh, right, and on that note, Harley, it was a pleasure. It's good to see that you're still alive at university.
I like that we always check in that I'm still alive. It's a good kind of good to touch base and make sure that I'm not dead. Really.
Yeah. Well, just I mean, purely so that I know that I've got a co-host. Um,
Exactly. Well, this is it.
like,
And it's nice that you care.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, about
And
having a
hopefully in a month's time, I also won't be dead then.
It would
Yeah.
be nice. It would be nice.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Because it could. I've heard it's a real pain to replace your co-host.
Yeah, I
I wouldn't
mean,
want to put you through that.
I don't want to have to go through that. Like,
Yeah.
it's just a lot of effort, isn't it?
Yeah.
However, I hope for your sake that that we win at the weekend because I believe
Mm.
you're travelling up with your friend.
I might well be. I don't know yet, but if we are, then we'll get to see a nice win, and I'll get ultimate bragging rights, which is really what football's about.
Yeah, yeah, it is indeed. Right. Well, thank you all for watching. We will bring you another one in December, and then of course the January fun starts.
Exactly. We're gonna have a nice festive episode next one. Rob's gonna dress up as Santa.
Oh no, but I
I'm
won't be
I'm
dressed up as Santa, but I'll wear a Christmas jumper if we're Christmas jumper in it.
yeah,
It's mad. It's going to be during the World Cup. Like, what is?
yeah. I'll have to get a nice like kind of like maybe like Switzerland Christmas jumper or something, or like Ecuador.
Um,
there's gonna be an international team that's doing a Christmas jumper that we
Canada.
can wear. Are
Canada.
they at the World Cup?
Yeah, they are at the World Cup. It's a really funny story. So my manager at work is Canadian, and he was telling us that Canada didn't Nike didn't think that Canada would qualify for the World Cup. They didn't create a basically a jersey for them for the World Cup.
Mhm.
So when they actually qualified, Nike didn't have any designs. So it's literally just a red T-shirt with the Nike logo and the Canada
So
badge.
it's the Liverpool kit with a maple leaf.
No, no, it's the Notts Forest kit with a yeah, it's basically a red T-shirt. Um, so yeah, maybe they could have just gone for some
So
creative themes.
maybe even Nike didn't know that Canada were in the World Cup. Well, that says a lot about them.
Mate, Alfonso Davies, like it's gonna be
It's too many
you're
teams.
on a sports journalism course.
It's too many teams.
There are a lot of teams.
Too many.
Yeah, and England are one of them.
Uh,